Welcome to VSB News Online for Wednesday, December 3rd. I'm Peter Kitzel. In a small private jet and under a welcoming arch of water by fire engines, the America's Cup made its auspicious arrival in Bermuda. After a brief welcome at the L.F. Wade International Airport, the Cup was carried to an open convertible for the police motorcycle escorted drive to Hamilton and the Cabinet Office via a number of local schools, where children and teachers stood outside to welcome their silver guest. At the Cabinet grounds, invited guests sat in gilt chairs as the Premier gave the official welcome, followed by comments from Sir Russell Coutts of the Oracle team.
Being chosen as a host venue for the 2017 America's Cup is truly a phenomenal achievement for our island home. It's yet another example of us being able to host a world-class sporting event, but this time we pulled a coup d'etat. Over the next 3 years, Bermuda, our tourism product, our hospitality, and our heritage as a maritime sailing destination will receive unprecedented exposure throughout the world. Yes, there is so much to be excited about today, and later this evening, we're pulling out all the stops by hosting a public celebration just down the street, complete with local entertainment, the gumbays, and fireworks to commemorate this historical occasion. This evening will be extra special because tonight I will be allowed to officially present this beautiful trophy to the people of Bermuda. So I want to encourage all of the residents of Bermuda to come out and enjoy the festivities. Friends, our pursuit of the America's Cup is about so much more than just hosting this prestigious event to our shores. In its broader context, it's another example of this government working hard to achieve economic growth and job creation for our people. Experience from former host venues indicates it will have a powerful impact on our economy over the next 3 years.
It's a great honor to be here today. What a tremendous welcome this is. I mean, I couldn't believe the number of smiley faces and people that have greeted us coming in from the airport, and it's been quite a 24 hours, I must say, but this welcome is really second to none, and just is further evidence that bringing the America's Cup to Bermuda is the right decision for the America's Cup. I started coming here in 1989 to race in the Bermuda Gold Cup, as it was known in those days, and had many great memories of lots of fantastic racing during the day, and some, I guess, a little bit more foggy memories of some of the nighttime dark and stormy moments. But I must confess, I guess it's with great pleasure to see this happen today, and to see this fantastic trophy come to Bermuda. The pinnacle event in international sailing is here, and I know that event's going to be fantastic. I think when we were flying in and had a chance to see the great sound and I started to imagine the races happening here in 2017. I think that's going to be absolutely spectacular.
Less than 24 hours after Bermuda was awarded the America's Cup event, and opposition leader Mark Bean was urging all Bermudians to get behind the initiative, one of his senators was expressing his concerns in the upper house about the likelihood of white Bermudians doing better out of the historic opportunity than blacks. Senator Mark Daniels included these comments in his speech.
I think something has to be said in terms of, it's not the negative, but the reality. I wouldn't agree with my colleague and friend, Senator Jardine, that all segments of society are just in jubilation. The reason for that is not just because of various sporting events. Sailing is something that I didn't grow up participating in, but it's something I certainly could appreciate. And considering the size of these and the power of these vessels and what it offers, and having the opportunity to get on the water myself, might be a fantastic day out just to be on my own boat and watching from a distance some sailing. But I think, moreover, this is an opportunity where, if we're being honest with ourselves, politically speaking, we all know our history in terms of the political parties, the evolution of where we were born from, what we came out of, and it's an ongoing journey. And so I know there are a lot of people that say, oh, race and politics, and particularly the PLP, a lot of people would like try and put the blame on us as being involved in race-based politics. And so this part of my message hopefully is not taken out of context, but I too have followed some of the blogs and commentary and some of the reaction in relation to the America's Cup, and there are those who have, I don't want to say disdain, but distrust in relation to the process. And I think something that has to be borne in mind and appreciated is that even in San Francisco, this event is an event of elite individuals in terms of money and income. It's not predicated on race, but when you look at demographics, we are talking about more one-sided demographics than another in terms of racial compositions. It's the way of the world. It's what it is. In Bermuda's context, what this event means for, and the sad reality is we do have more than one Bermuda. Even if that's the goal to get to, we still have one Bermuda. It's not to slam or take any attack on the institutions and businesses that might fall into the bracket of the upper class and the economic bracket. But for example, there are going to be certain entities which will profit from this, certainly more significantly than other segments of society.
He may be abandoning his plans for a Bermuda employment 7-year visa after encountering criticism, but Home Affairs Minister Senator Michael Fay is pressing ahead with a raft of other important work permits changes that are not going to be dropped and which will have an America's Cup application.
There are some exciting changes in that policy, notwithstanding the removal of BEV, the changes to the new business permit, the global entrepreneur permit, a number of ways to increase opportunities for new business, but also opportunities for Bermudians in employment.
But December the 1 has gone by the board.
It has. I'm looking now as the date of the 1st of March. What I will do is I will release at the end of this month the policy in its final form, no more changes. That will give organizations about a 2-month lead-in time to prepare themselves for that policy, get the fee regulations passed in the House and in the Senate, and then we're on the way.
Will it help some of the America's Cup challenges that you have coming?
I suspect it will. The beauty of policy is that if it needs to be changed, it can be changed. But obviously with America's Cup, we have to be flexible, we have to be nimble, we have to get a lot of things done, Brian, in the next couple of years. I will leave that and those details to the Minister of Economic Development, who I'm sure we hear from today, who will tell us and let the community know exactly what we're looking to achieve in the next couple of years.
The U.S. State Department will have a presence at tomorrow's Bermuda International College and University Fair at Cedar Bridge Academy. Education USA and Program Officer Matthew Washburn will be on hand to advise students and parents of the education opportunities offered at institutions of learning in the United States. He shares some of this information with VSB's Charles Webb.
There are 3 countries that students are thinking about here. It's the US, the UK, and Canada. And so I think that the students are pretty well aware, and their parents are, of how the U.S. is an attractive destination because of the high-quality education and the many, I think there are over 4,500 accredited U.S. Universities and colleges, but usually things like cost come into consideration, and without understanding how the U.S. system works and how schools offer institutional aid and scholarship money, when you just look at the price of U.S. universities just on the face of things, it looks prohibitively expensive for some parents. So when I talk to them about how scholarship and institutional aid works, and the idea of community colleges and potentially going to a community college in the U.S. and then transferring into a 4-year school to finish their degree, I see a lot of students and parents realizing, wow, that the U.S. might be an option for me. It's very close to Bermuda. There are lots of good schools, and getting to know the U.S. even more intimately than they do now as a student is something I think that's attractive as well.
How much does accreditation factor into it?
Accreditation, it's essential. There are over 4,500 accredited schools, but there are many more schools than that, some of which are not accredited. So basically, students and their parents need to look very carefully at the Council for Higher Education website. It's chea.org, and type in the name of the school that they're interested in. And then if they see that the school comes up on the list of accredited universities or colleges, they can feel comfortable applying to it and knowing that their degree will be fully recognized and is a legitimate degree.
And we'll be back with more news right after this.
The Marketplace Food Court is you and your family's one-stop shop. Start your day at the Breakfast Bar with omelets made to order and traditional Bermuda codfish breakfast. The chefs will cook lunch and dinner to your liking. Along with the salad bar, sandwich bar, sushi bar, and fruit bar, the Marketplace Food Court is your kitchen away from home. Every day is hassle-free with nutritious meals from the Marketplace Food Court. Visit us 7 days a week. Homemade cooking, quality service, all at prices you can count on.
Bermuda's 400 registered charities are now covered by a new act that requires them to pay between $100 and $400 a year license fee, depending on their income. They are also being monitored for money laundering and terrorism financing, but Home Affairs Minister Michael Fay is more concerned at the measures put in place to prevent people in this community from being ripped off, particularly at Christmas.
Over the past year, over the last 2 years, we've signed a memorandum of understanding with the Center of Philanthropy, who's been tremendous in assisting the setting up of new organizations. They have an online database of existing charities. And what I was basically saying today in the Senate is, especially at Christmas time, when you're thinking about perhaps giving a charitable donation, because that's typically when people will be more inclined to do so over Christmas, is make sure you're giving your money to a legitimate charitable organization. I was encouraging people to have a look online at the Center of Philanthropy's website, have a look at what they've got. You can ask for sets of financial statements in respect of the charitable organization to make sure you know where their money's going. And what we will see come 2015 is a completely changed landscape in relation to the way in which charities are administered, with the increased use of the public benefit test. Those guidelines are available on the Registry General's website. And we've also put in place a vulnerable persons policy to protect vulnerable people from perhaps unscrupulous members of the public who engage in charitable organizations. We have to make sure that those vulnerable persons are protected. So have a look at the Registry General's website, have a look at the Center of Philanthropy's website, and there's a lot of information there for you.
Now, it's unfair to say that this might be a hammer to crack a nut. There has been a certain history behind the scenes, hasn't there, of bad behavior?
Yeah, there has. I mean, you recall that the last time the Charities Act was really looked at it was put in place, I think, in 1978. It was a very small act, and of course, things have changed tremendously since 1978. The new act, which was passed this past year, regulations are now almost complete. The package are there for good reason. They're there to protect those that are giving the money and those, of course, where the money is supposed to go to. We all want to make sure the money is going where it's supposed to be.
The weather experts of the National Hurricane Center have confirmed something that the residents of Bermuda have suspected for the past 6 weeks. Tropical Storm Fay was, in fact, a Category 1 hurricane. The Bermuda Weather Service reporting today that after extensive post-analysis of all local data during the impact of Fay, in collaboration with the BWS, the NHC has now revised the category strength for Fay from a strong tropical storm to a landfalling Category 1 hurricane for the island of Bermuda. The report will be publicly available on the National Hurricane Center's public documents list during the next few days. And now we turn to Earl Baisden, who snagged one of the Premier America's Cup sailors for an interview in today's Sports Report.
As the saying goes, it's here. The America's Cup arrived in Bermuda and was brought to the Cabinet grounds for a reception earlier today. Well-known sailor and former America's Cup champion Dennis Conner was at the reception and was delighted for Bermuda to have landed the sailing spectacle. Connor, who used Bermuda back in the late 70s, early 80s as a training ground when he was competing for the America's Cup, expects this to be a spectacular event. On the first day of competition in Doha, Qatar, at the 12th FINA Short Course World Swimming Championships, Julian Fletcher swam to a new Bermuda record in the 100-meter breaststroke. Fletcher clipped over a second off the previous record held by Chris Fluke, set back in 1992. Fletcher looked strong throughout the swim, finishing in a time of 1:02.04. His time saw him finish 4th in Heat 8 and 55th overall. Last night at the Devonshire Recreation Club, it was a FA Challenge Cup replay that saw First Division outfit Young Man Social Club advance to the next round with a 2-0 win over Corona League defending champions Tough Dogs. Young Man Social Club took the lead in the 15th minute when Nathan Simons lobbed the ball over an advancing Tough Dogs goalkeeper. This goal was what divided the two teams at the break. Midway through the second half, Raymond Burgess got on the end of a free kick to head the ball unchallenged past Tough Dogs goalkeeper to give the Young Man Social Club a 2-0 lead, which would hold until the end. Day 2 proved to be a challenging day at the Belmont Hills for the second round of the Goslings Invitational Tournament. The beautiful day belied what was in store for the players as they made their round, with the 18th hole being the biggest challenge. The 18th hole is a par 4, which saw a good majority shooting well over par with scores of 8, 9, and up to 13. It proved to be a rough day for many. P.H. Horgan retained the lead with a 5 under par 135 over the 2 days, with William Walsh and Brian McCain, both from Canada, at 2 under par 138, close behind. The senior professional division is led by Donnie Jarvis from the U.S. He maintains his lead with a 146 at 6 over par. Stephen DaCosta shot an excellent 1 under par 69 to take a 2-day total is 135 in the amateur division. DaCosta's closest challenge comes from Mark Phillips, who's at 17 over par. The open senior division saw Glenn Kelly continue to lead at 6 over par, 146 2-day total, followed by Hav Trott, who's at 14 over par. The Grotto Bay Tennis Club hosted their Rackets Blazers junior tennis tournament recently. The winners in the 8 and under category utilizing the Red Ball were Jaden Marshall, he finished first place in the boys, with Owen Curry finishing in second place. Sari Packwood was the first place girl, with Flora Betts finishing second. The winners in the 12 and under category utilizing the Orange Ball were Marie Ramirez in first place overall, with David Gawarin finishing in second place overall. Special awards were handed out and they were given to Trey Vance for sportsmanship and Kellen Richardson for best skills and strokes award. Rachel Barnes and her Bowen women's squash teammates defeated Connecticut College 8-1. Barnes, playing in the number 1 spot, defeating Carolyn Sargent 3-0. Barnes won the first set 11-5. She then won the second set 11-4 before closing out the game with an 11-6 victory. Promising Bermuda junior Erica Hawley took part in a 10-day ITU Campari triathlon camp in Ecuador. The camp was for juniors and under-23s in the Americas region. I'm Earl Baisden reporting for VSB Sports.
Thanks for watching VSB News Online for Wednesday, December 3rd. I'm Peter Kitzel.